Hey guys.
Maybe too late to have started this live stream. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's wait a little bit. And then I'll possibly get into the article. Let me find that article somewhere else now that I say that. That way I can read it and share it with you all at the same time. Yeah. Okay, there it is. There it is. Accept all. Perfect. Got it up. David, how you doing? Thank you for joining. Let's see. I guess we should probably just get right into it. Being 8 o'clock at night, we don't want to hang out for a little bit, but not hang out forever, right? Okay, so I saw this the other day, and I thought that this would be perfect to go over on a live chat, just because we can kind of talk about it. Ford patents potential ice saving technology. Don't get your hopes up. It's not that impressive. Okay, I'm going to share this. For okay, on the 28th, Nick Berg wrote this on Haggerty. I'm guessing that's Haggerty. Isn't that insurance? I can't remember. I filed a patent for a pre-combustion system that could dramatically reduce emissions and, as a result, earn a reprieve for gas-powered cars and electrification. You might want to grab. Oh, okay. The idea is to take the gases captured by a positive crankcase ventilation system or other evaporative emission systems and cycle them into a pre-combustion chamber. Instead of storing them in a carbon-filled canister and periodically purging back into the intake, as is convention. So he's basically saying, instead of doing what they do now, in traditional PCV systems, the rate at which emissions are generated can sometimes exceed the purge rate, and when this happens, the gases are vented to the atmosphere, which rather defeats the object of the exercise. So basically, when the evaporative emission system on a gasoline car, diesels do not have these, when it gets full, it will open the purge, not the purge valve, but the Ford calls it a purge valve. Other companies call it other things, but they have a canister vent valve. And most of the time, when your car is shut off, that is open, usually. It can open while driving down the road too, but normally it's shut. The Ford system makes much better use of any unburnt fuel coming through by channeling the vapors into a pre-chamber with an igniter. In particular, the approach may reduce an amount of time it takes to purge a carbon-filled canister of fuel vapors. Reads the filings from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office first reported. Additionally, the approach may improve combustion stability during purging of fuel vapors. Further, the approach may reduce evaporative emissions by increasing fuel vapor flow during conditions of hydrocarbon breakthrough of the carbon-filled canister. We got some diagrams. Let's come back to those. Overall, the system could lead to a more efficient fuel burn, potentially increasing power as well as reducing emissions. As an added benefit, the buildup of carbon deposits on valves from the burnt fuel would also be reduced, improving engine longevity. Obviously, it's early days, and that just seems weird. Obviously, it's early days, and the system could prove too complex and expensive to manufacture, especially when the Blue Oval is investing heavily in electrification. However, it's still good. Yeah, they're not. I saw the nail in the coffin a long time ago. It was a pretty good sign when the CEO of Ford took the Lightning out to drive, and they saw the writing on the wall. So that's my opinion on that. Here's the patent. Let's see if we can look at this. Oh, okay. Let's see if we can zoom. Can we zoom in? No. Well, isn't that some bull crap? Let's try this. It's not going to let us zoom. Let's go back. No. You turd. Yeah, we're not going to be able to see the pictures. I'd like to, because it'd be neat to see that flow chart. It makes it too small. I'd really like to see that. How far are we into this? Sharing. 7 minutes. My chat just restarted again. Tell you what. It's pain. Not many people tonight. I guess everybody's busy getting in bed, getting ready for the Monday work week. Every day's a work day to me. Don't let anybody lie to you about starting a business. You don't make your own hours. I thought the same thing. I mean, I do. I don't have to get going at 7 in the morning. You know, I can get up, get some stuff done, and actually get going at 9 and work a little later. But you usually have long days. You're always dealing with something for the business. You don't ever really get to disconnect, which is what I did anyway with side work. Okay, so this patent, so basically what they're going to do is rather than catch any of the fuel vapors off of the fuel tank and store them in a charcoal canister, and then occasionally use that to burn in the engine while driving down the road, or release it to the atmosphere, which once it goes to that charcoal canister, it kind of soaks up any fuel vapors anyway, the moisture, and it's a lot better than just letting it go straight to atmosphere. But that's how the normal systems work now. So it's it works really well. I mean, I'm gotten used to it. A lot of people hate working on evap systems, but once you figure out how they work, it's not that big of a deal. But the way I'm understanding this patent will work is Ford will have think of it, they'll still have basically a canister like a charcoal canister of some kind, but it will also be a catch can, or maybe there'll be two, and all the vapors from the fuel tank and the vapors from the engine, like the crankcase ventilation that we have now, the PCV system, it's all going to route it to some tanks, and then it will burn that off in the engine. It can reintroduce it some other way, maybe under wide open throttle conditions or something like that. I don't know. I'd have to see it in action to really feel comfortable, because we all have seen, I mean, you all have seen my shorts on and part of videos whenever I empty out my cash cans on my F-150. It's nasty. It's a lot of water and oil mixed. Well, water can be injected in an engine with, in a mist and not have any issues, and it can be like a cooling effect, but in very small amounts of mist. And so them injecting a gasoline vapor oil water mixture just doesn't sound, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're not, maybe though the crankcase vent, they'll capture the water and that will be a service interval, which would be a very smart thing on their part. You just drain the liquid off, at an oil change, because you've got to do an oil change anyway. So you drain the liquid off at an oil change. Be pretty easy if you put it down low by the oil pan, drain the oil pan, drain the cash can. It'd be great. So then maybe they pull the vapors, go somewhere else into another canister. But most of the time, the crankcase vent, any air that goes through the catch can isn't really a hydrocarbon. Or, I mean, maybe it is. Maybe somebody can chime in, and I don't think they'll chime in now because it's only me and David. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. Stopping by, the only one. At least I'm not talking to myself, so I appreciate that. But maybe somebody can chime in and let us know, are the fumes or air of some kind, is there hydrocarbons coming into that? I don't know. I'd really like to know if it is, or is it mixing the vapors and the hydrocarbons from the evap system, mixing that in with it. Basically, then it's more hydrocarbons than just atomized oil and everything, and it will then burn it off. I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens. They say that now, the article made it sound like then you wouldn't have oil deposits getting on the back of the intake valves, which would then, that would create a carbon buildup on the back of the intake valves. But when you're reintroducing that to the engine, if you're not running it through a crankcase vent system of some kind to kind of basically get rid of those oils, wouldn't you still be introducing that? So I don't know. Still hear any vapor coming off the engine. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but I'd imagine it'd be a very small amount on the crankcase. But I don't know. I truthfully, in a way, I wish I still worked at the Ford dealership just to see the tech coming out in the next 5 to 10 years, because I think hybrids are going to, I personally believe hybrids are going to boom again. I really liked hybrids because you got to use the battery in town. There was they started getting, like, with the hybrid fusions, they started getting really good, and it was really cool to drive because you would drive them. I think the C-Max was the same way. You drive them in town, and the only time that you would use the gas engine sometimes was during the summer. You needed AC; it would run the engine. Some, though, at a point had an electric one that you didn't need to do that, but you wouldn't use the engine unless you accelerated hard, and it was really neat. I really liked the fact that you could run around town on the battery, have a tank full of gas, 15 gallons or 10 gallons, whatever the size they were, and then you jump on the highway and use gas. And so it I thought it was great. I think hybrid was very cool. Well, I mean, they're using it now in the F-150. So I think hybrids are probably going to be our next big thing. And I need to look into it to understand it more, because if it does come out, I'm going to have to work on it. But I just went blank. What the heck is it? It's what is it? I keep wanting to think hydrogen. No, hydrogen. Hydrogen. Yeah, the hydrogen cars. I think if they can figure hydrogen out, I think it'd be cool. However, the only ones that make sense. Check out Edison Motors out of version. Edison, yeah, they're doing the trucks, correct? I think they are. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Oh. Yes, they're making the. Okay, so Edison can rebuild or remanufacture existing truck and convert it into electric. Yeah, I don't. If they're doing hybrid, which I'm guessing that's what they're doing. Okay, let's see. Here's a learn more. Edison e-axles and batteries. Yeah, I heard them talking about e-axles. Let's flip over here and I'll share this with you guys. They have hybrid logging trucks. I think that's genius. I think it's a great idea. Because we all know that an engine runs at a, if you can keep an engine running at a specific load, and let's say not even its peak load, but off idle, but off of wide open throttle. So I don't think I think some of those big diesel engines redline at 3, and they operate in like a. I don't even redline at 3. I don't think. Anyway, there's a very small window of operating RPM, and so I know the smaller diesels like the Power Strokes I know better, and those Duramax and stuff like that. Let's say they burn clean at 2,500 RPM. They make good power and burn clean. They use um, the least amount of fuel to create the most amount of horsepower at that RPM. And these Edison Motors trucks, if they can, that engine runs at a specific RPM for most of the time, and it creates electricity, and it creates more power than they really need, it would be more efficient long term. It would be very efficient, work very good. Let's go. Okay, I'm in e-axles and batteries. Let's go into the e-axle. I heard some of that. So I'm guessing each one of these, yeah, has a motor. Okay, so it bolts right up to the pumpkin of the third member. So all you need running to this axle really is power wires from the battery and an input of what you are doing with your throttle and braking. They need on the side, but I'm sure that helps. There's some regenerative braking that goes on, I'm sure. Load logs on top of mountain, regeneration on the way down. Yeah, Dave, that is genius. Single axle, 335 horsepower tandem tri. Holy crap. It's a lot of torque. Voltage. Diesel electric powertrain. If battery alone isn't enough to get the job done, the diesel electric option may be the best option for you. Generator options, Cat C9 industrial, 450 horse. Yeah. Fuel consumption. 50% load, only 9.5 gallons an hour. Remember, the generator is only running 25 to 50% of the time in typical applications. Wow. That's cool. Good for them. That makes sense. I think that may be the way of the future on some of those big trucks. Diesel's great. It's great in generator form, and that's basically what it would be on that truck, is just a generator. So you wouldn't need the engine to do near the amount of work, and so you'd probably see less failures, less maintenance as well, because then you wouldn't really go by mileage on changing their oil or hours. You go strictly hours, which would then, if a truck, those logging trucks, I don't know how, I forgot what the oil change interval is on a big truck, but let's say it's 10,000 miles, which I feel like it's higher than that. Because they hold a lot of oil, so I think it can go longer than that. Let's say it's 10,000 miles. Well, those trucks run day in, day out, and they'd probably be able to go a lot longer. That'd be very cool. Optional equipment, E-axle for steering axle, allowing efficiency. Wow, that's cool. For basically 6x6 or 8x8 trucks. Full off-road LED package, steel belt, built cab, swivels. Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's pretty cool. Very cool. They can still charge at the charging station for. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if they're not using them overnight, no point in running the engine if they can trickle charge them. And we do this. It makes sense. That would be very cool. Let's see if we can get some information on hydrogen. Why is okay? That didn't give me much. I'm looking up information on hydrogen engines. I probably should have done it some other time. Understanding hydrogen. Okay. So I want to understand how hydrogen is a fuel. Hydrogen is a clean fuel. When consumed in a fuel cell, produces only water. Hydrogen can be produced from a variety of domestic resources such as natural gas, nuclear power, biomass, and renewable power like solar and wind. Department of Energy. Can we trust our government? Well, we're going to go to their website here in a second. What is hydrogen? Hydrogen explained. Department of Energy, U.S. Energy Information Administration. Let's click on that one too. Hydrogen, though, will not. You still have to have a spark plug, I know, with hydrogen engines. So it won't replace the diesel engine. Okay, so the thermal process of hydrogen production typically involves steam reforming, a high temperature process in which steam reacts with a hydrocarbon fuel to produce hydrogen. Many hydrocarbon fuels can be formed to produce hydrogen, including natural gas, diesel, renewable liquid fuels, gasified coal, or gasified biomass. Today, about 95% of hydrogen is produced from steam reforming of natural gas. Natural gas reforming. Let's go there. Water can electrolytic, electrolytic process. Water can be separated into oxygen and hydrogen through a process called electrolysis. Electrolytic process take place in an electrolyzer, which, man, I cannot pronounce that word for some reason, which functions much like a fuel cell in reverse. Instead of using the energy of the hydrogen molecule like a fuel cell does, an electrolyzer creates hydrogen from water molecules. I think that would be more. That would make more sense in my head. It does take energy, you're right, to make hydrogen, but then again, doesn't it take energy to create gasoline and diesel? Or I just don't know what's the word I'm looking for? The efficiency. So have we created gasoline and diesel for so long that we're pretty darn efficient at it, and so it keeps the cost down, or it's always been relatively easy, and that's where they can keep the cost down. And really, the biggest thing that fluctuates the oil prices that we're told. And basically, is the thought that hydrogen is too expensive to produce, or do we just need to make the process large scale and then we could lower the price? I don't know, because you can make it from water. I'm still looking for. Is that correct? I have a book. I'll have to share it with you guys. I have only made it through a very small portion of this book. I'm going to write down. I'll share it next live. They're about, basically, there's two books that I have that there's a part one, part two, I think, and then there's a third book I have, but it's on. They were written. I think we're going on 100 years ago, on the theories of and testing of internal combustion engines, and so they go over with heavy math explaining the ways that they tested and figured out, and all of the information they figured out testing fuels like gasoline and diesel. And they do explain the thermodynamics? I'm getting in an area that I don't really know. I wish I would have gone to school for this stuff, because I find it very, very interesting. Very interesting. And David, yeah, I think you're right that diesel actually does contain more energy compared to gasoline. What is it? Say like you have a gallon of gasoline and a gallon of diesel. A gallon of diesel can produce more energy than gasoline. I believe I do agree with what you're saying. Let's see. Use. It says here, hydrogen is the simplest element. Each atom of hydrogen has only one proton. Hydrogen is also the most abundant element in the universe. The sun and other stars are essentially giant balls of hydrogen and helium gases. Potential power. Yes, David, I agree with that. I believe I've read that. Hydrogen occurs naturally on Earth and compound from other elements in liquids, gases, or solids. Hydrogen combined with oxygen is water. Hydrogen combined with carbon forms different compounds or hydrocarbons that are found in natural gas, coal, and petroleum. I didn't like that one. Hydrogen production, natural gas reforming. How does it work? Let me flip this around and I'll share this with you guys. I don't know if you're interested in this, but I find it very interesting because I'm trying to understand. When you at least talk about it and, where'd it go? Okay, here we are. Hydrogen production, natural gas reforming. How does it work? Sorry. Natural gas contains methane that can be used to produce hydrogen with thermal processes such as steam, methane reformation, and partial oxidation. Wow. They're going to use some words that I don't know. Part of me says not to. I'm going to go back. I'm going to paste definition. I'm going to look up the definition of methane. What was it? Methane reformation. Reformation. What is? Okay. And steam methane reforming. What the hell is methane? Let's do that. Methane, a colorless, odorless, flammable gas, which is the main constituent of natural gas. It is the simplest member of the alkane series of hydrocarbons. Wow. We're getting in an area that I probably shouldn't even be discussing right now until I grasp it. Yeah, that's probably going to be the best thing to do. Okay, let me do this though. I'll at least share the book. Okay. There's one. God. Can't find the other one. I want to say it's green. The other one I have. This is the one I have right now. Okay, so it's Internal Combustion Engine in Theory and Practice, second edition, revised, volume 2. There's a volume 1, and I need to get through and read it, but it's words over my head, and so much of it that I would have to stop and look up the definition of the word to understand what I was reading. Power the world with cow farts. I mean, if there's a way we can capture it, you're probably right. Well, thankfully, what was it? Some of the politicians in the United States think we should get rid of cattle farming because all the methane that's released by cattle. Yeah. Yeah, because there isn't how many humans on Earth and other animals that fart that create methane? But no, cattle are the worst by far. Yeah, that's our biggest issue. Yeah. I agree. I don't agree with that. No. So I need to read up on this book, and I'm probably going to try to get another book for hydrogen. God dang, this hydrogen book they want $200 for. Seems a little excessive. Seems excessive. Oh, yeah. Get rid of that. Understand. Yeah, I was going to start talking about hydrogen, but I don't understand it enough. There's no point to talk about it when I don't even have a leg to stand on to discuss it. So, yeah, I don't know. So, well, that was really all I wanted to talk about tonight was the patent from Ford and just anywhere we go with that, and we kind of did. David blew up the chat. He had it all to himself. I guess I could have chimed in, but I was talking, so no point there. But David, I appreciate you chatting with me tonight. I enjoyed that. You brought up Edison Motors, which is very cool. I really think that is a good idea. I think Edison Motors is going the right route with this, and it sounds like they have more real world experience already than some of the electric companies that are just testing and they don't have their products actually out there. Well, I think they do somewhat, but it sounds like Edison Motors is going the right path. So I think we will see a lot of things like that. I think it's pretty cool. So okay, we have the same sense. I think a lot of mechanics or guys that are out working. I think a lot of us have the same sense of humor. I think we're kind of jaded by just the crap we see, but I wouldn't be who I am without it. So I'll take it as a good thing. But I think I'm going to call that a night. Not as long as normal, but I appreciate David for getting in. I'm sure other people wanted to if I would have been able to get on at 6, but I was trying to finish some stuff up. Actually, I had kind of a busy day, so for a Sunday, which isn't bad. Got some stuff done. But I appreciate it, David, and anybody else watching. I will see you Wednesday at 6 p.m. and I will find a new topic, and I will bring those books, internal combustion books that I have. I'll show you guys what I was talking about on those. I'll try to do some reading. Maybe we can talk some more, and maybe I'll do a little reading on hydrogen. That way I have a little bit more to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about that. But thank you very much. I hope you have a good night. I'll see you Wednesday. Later.